This episode, along with hundreds of others from Calaroga Shark Media, is available without commercials. Just look for the banner on your Apple Podcast app to subscribe and try it free for a month.
Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I'm your host, Mark Francis. We've recently observed that Kate's PR machine has recently ramped up, and what better way to get people to stop talking about Harry and Meghan's faux royal trip than by feeding the PR machine. The Mirror reports how Kate and William reached out personally to the family of pizza van owner Peter Morris following his death in May. Peter passed away at the age of just 47. Kate sent his widow, Tracy, a note written on official Kensington Palace notepaper. The message, which was read aloud at his funeral, has now been published in The Sun just as Harry and Meghan's trip begins. It reads, "We can only begin to imagine what an immense hole he will leave in your life, and my heart goes out to you and your family. Catherine and I thoroughly enjoyed meeting Pete. We know that Pete was a hugely dedicated and highly valued member of the community, which has been evident from the response to his passing. I did want you to know just how much you and your family are in our thoughts at this time." Tracy said, "It came as a massive surprise. I don't even know how they found out Pete had died. It may have hit a chord with them because Kate is going through treatment. He said how down to earth they were. We had so many letters from people who loved Pete, but the one from William and Kate was very special." In the Daily Mail, Rebecca English writes, not of Harry and Meghan, but of how wonderful Kate is. Looking tanned and relaxed, the surprise video appearance by the Prince and Princess of Wales at the weekend to thank Britain's Olympic heroes was the summer lift that all royal watchers needed. With the extended family largely now on holiday at Balmoral and elsewhere, public appearances will be few and far between until well into September, and few could fail to have been struck by just how happy William and Catherine looked after what one friend describes as the toughest year of their lives together. That's not to say, as the princess herself so openly put it recently, that she is out of the woods yet. She will continue to work privately and engage publicly as and when she can. Kensington Palace hope to provide guidance at some point in the future about what a return to a more regular workload might look like. But it is important to stress that they are absolutely not at that stage yet, according to one royal insider. Asked if the princess' fourth public appearance, in person and on video, of this year signalled a return to royal duties, a source said firmly, "We are not there yet. When we last heard from her ahead of Trooping the Colour, she said her treatment was going on into the summer, and that's what's happening." It's been a rough time, a really difficult year for the entire family, and as she herself said, she is not out of the woods yet. The direction is positive, but there will not be a great change in terms of her public profile after Sunday night, and no one is giving a timescale for her return. Skipping ahead, English quotes a source saying, "I don't think people realise how much she has gone through behind the scenes and for how long, far longer than anyone actually appreciates. She's an incredibly strong woman, but she really has been through the wars. Her treatment and recovery is still a priority and will be ongoing for some time to come." Meanwhile, in the Telegraph, Hannah Furness writes, "Wherever the Duke and Duchess of Sussex travel, so do the eyes of the world. When they went to Australia as newlyweds, they were dubbed the Republican Slayers for a charm offensive, which saw them announce they were expecting their first child. In South Africa, Meghan's 'I am here as a woman of colour and as your sister' speech echoed around the Commonwealth. Next, Prince Harry and Meghan will travel to Colombia. The question on lips on both sides of the Atlantic is, why? The Sussexes in their spotlight will not be there on behalf of the British government. They are not working members of the royal family known to be representing a particular charity or have any public history or heritage in the country. They are receiving no advice from the British Foreign Office, whose briefings and guidance underpin all official royal tours. Now, days before they are even due to arrive in Colombia later this week, the trip is generating controversy, with claims reported from Bogota their star power is at risk of being manipulated by a government drowning in scandal. That Colombia is beautiful and full of rich culture is unquestionable. The description does not, however, capture the political turmoil in the country, which just last week saw Gustavo Petro, the president, accuse the commander of rebel forces of paying to have him assassinated by snipers. Both the UK and US warned tourists against travelling to parts of the country, and Britain's representative at the United Nations told a UN Security Council last month that they remain concerned about persistent levels of violence and threats in some areas. A country which has struggled to overcome its reputation for drugs and kidnap will gain a whole new audience of potential tourists, from photographs of ex-royals smiling at government-organised engagements, dancing at music festivals, and banging the drum for the vice president's key causes. For the Sussexes, it is also high risk. Questions about who is paying for their travel, accommodation, and security have not been answered, although it is suggested that the Colombian government will ensure a higher level of security as they travel with Colombia's Vice President, Francia Marquez, who has defended her use of a Black Hawk helicopter for her commute to Bogota. There is no clear narrative yet about what particular country or continent was chosen, other than the government issued an invitation to the Sussexes who were happy to accept. For long-term royal watchers and historians, the trip rings some alarm bells. The last members of the royal family to tour in such high profile under their own steam were the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, whose poor judgment and lack of advice greatly damaged their reputations. While there is, of course, no risk of the Sussexes getting embroiled in anything equivalent to emerging narcissism, as the Windsors did in 1937, for some, there are some parallels in the approach of the two couples. Prince Harry and Meghan will be travelling with their own small team of staff, but without the British government advice on in-country protocol and global politics they had to hand in the royal family. One source familiar with the work of the Foreign Office dismissed the trip as utterly irrelevant to British interests abroad. Anna Pasternak, author of American Duchess, The Real Wallis Simpson, said there was a real parallel in terms of non-working royals being invited by foreign governments as private citizens and accepting. Of the Duke and Duchess of Windsor's trip in 1937, she said, they accepted because Edward felt so hurt and angered by the way Wallis had been rejected by the royal family, and he desperately wanted her to experience the pomp and ceremony of a royal tour. He wanted Wallis to be addressed as HRH and for people to curtsy to her. I'm not suggesting that Harry wants the pomp and ceremony of a royal tour, but there is a feeling that he'd like to elevate Meghan to the status accorded to her. You feel they really value the approval of the people of the country they're visiting. They can go and be honoured in their own right. She added, when you have this quasi-royal state, you're seen internationally as a royal and you're treated as such on tour, but you don't have the protection of the Foreign Office. This is a high-risk tour for them. When a country invites you, you've got to wonder, what's the agenda? In what way does this fit into the narrative? And how they want to be seen on a global scale. Palace Intrigue will be right back. If Harry and Meghan are going all the way to Colombia, the least we can do here at Palace Intrigue is talk about it. So what's the plan? They will visit 3 cities, Bogota, Cali, and Cartagena. In Bogota, they will engage with local leaders and organizations working on issues close to their hearts, such as mental health and child protection. In Cali, they will attend the Petronia Alvarez Festival, a significant celebration of Afro-Colombian music and culture. This festival, held annually in August, is known for its vibrant displays of traditional music, dance, and food, and underscores the rich cultural heritage of Afro-Colombians. On to Cartagena and a trip to San Basilio de Palenque, the first free town for Africans in the Americas. This historic town, founded by escaped slaves, is a UNESCO-recognized site and represents a deep connection to African heritage in Colombia. The couple will explore the town's history and its unique cultural expressions, such as the Palenquero language. During their previous trip to Nigeria, Meghan showcased a mix of playful maxi dresses and smart gowns, many designed by local creators. For this tour, she is expected to continue this trend, possibly wearing designs by Colombian designer Johanna Ortiz, whose pieces she has worn in the past. Ortiz's creations could be a significant part of Meghan's wardrobe during the visit, reflecting her appreciation for local fashion and her connection to Colombia. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice. And leave us a review or some stars if you're enjoying the show. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. Palace Intrigue and good times.